All right, we are live. This is the resurgence, the revival, the rebirth, whatever you want to call it, of carpets and coffee.
That's right.
Coffee.
The lifeblood. Yeah.
The nectar of the gods.
It kind of hurts, but it's great.
It hurts so good. Puts hair on your chest.
So this is on YouTube right now.
This is on YouTube right now. We have a live chat going on that we're seeing. Looks like we've got Andy Middleton, we've got Christopher Sexton, we've got Jeff Fruit in here. We've got some people that actually watched or listened to quite consistently the original Carpets and Coffee when I was doing it on my channel. Obviously, I wanted to bring it back if people were interested in it. I had a lot of people asking for it, and I get comments continuously about bringing it back or doing it again. And I figured, screw it. You know, we're doing the NPR network. We're trying to build this community under this umbrella. So what a better time to bring it back than to do it, rebrand it essentially under the NPR network, because this way it's not just me on my channel. It's all of us. Owen's obviously not here for everybody watching and listening. It's Eric and Lucas and myself. But Owen is more than welcome to be here. He's just a slave to the grind as we speak right now. So it's my day off. I've only been awake for like an hour and a half. Lucas and Eric have both already like put in 8-hour shifts at work.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I mean, Owen prefers snakes and stogies, but we're more refined and we prefer, you know, carpets and coffee. I mean, come on, how better can it get, you know?
Yeah. You know, and maybe one day it'll meld together and it'll be like Carpets and Cocktails, and it'll be a late night show once in a while for special occasions. Who knows? You know, give the people what they want, right?
That's right.
So
Boas and brewskis.
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
That's Owen's show.
Yeah, there you go. The possibilities are endless.
Yeah. He's at work right now.
Yeah,
he's just hanging out with boa people. But
taking care of Mort.
Yeah. Oh gosh. That photo you shared of that pumpkin, Mort eating that pumpkin gluttonously was awesome.
I had him on my show just last week, and I forgot to ask him to pull out Mort, and I regret it immensely.
Oh man,
I don't think Mort is here.
No, I think Mort's with his fiance.
Yeah. Oh well, never mind.
There you go. Yeah, Mort is at Site B.
Yes.
He's on store now. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but eventually that will be possible. We'll be able to. I just had an idea. Rachel has been very big on embroidery and cross stitching and all this stuff. She loves being creative. I'm going to have her make Mort a sweater. And we're going to put Rogue Reptiles on the back, and it's going to be pink.
I want little hide ears too.
Your face on the
bottom. Oh, yeah. We can make him a hat for his head. I'm very familiar with the contour and structure of sulcata's heads at that size, so I know how to make that work.
There you go. Big Steelers hat, you know. Super happy.
Yeah, and then we can get one for Zero, and then we'll send him a little one as like a sign that's like, you're getting a puppy soon and you know it. And then his fiance will just be like, well, now we have to. It was a sign. Yeah, he'll love that.
Awesome. Damn, Riley Jimison.
Oh, dude, you know the Scooby-Doo line, I would have gotten away with it if it weren't for those meddling kids. My life would have been normal if it weren't for Riley. It's kind of the same thing. Those meddling kids, that meddling Riley.
Meddling Riley.
Oh, well, I've become a verb. I was asked to explain what Burking and clutch is.
Okay.
Woohoo!
Yeah, so
we got reelering.
Yep.
Burking
I was listening to the old clip. I think it was from the holiday show you did, Eric, and Mutton mentioned yossering a clutch in the clip.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty sure because that was the most recent one I listened to, and I remember very, very clearly hearing that term and thinking like, wow, that was the original Burking the clutch. That's like the history of it. The evolution. It started with yossering and now it's Burking.
That's right.
And now Yosser's getting back into the game. So maybe he'll rebrand it, and then there'll be a combination of the two.
Yeah, there you go.
Who knows? But Chris, I missed your live on Cusco's channel, but I heard it went really well. But yeah, Burking a clutch. If you had trouble with that, Burking a clutch means keeping it all to yourself for years until you have been pressured by those in your inner circle who know what you're sitting on, and a little arm twisting and some rib jabbing to get you to let go of a few. The thing you don't understand is Eric is not somebody who needs to sell his snakes.
No.
So when he makes a clutch of head scratching, cool, crazy, like first time they've been done in a long time sort of thing, I mean,
yeah,
I wouldn't
going anywhere.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's like I listen back, to NPR in the beginning days, right? And I got such flack for saying that I was going to keep the clutch back. I remember Owen yelling at me and whoever the guest at the time was. If like they would say, oh, how can you keep them all? You got to sell them. You're gonna, blah blah blah. This is the stupidest business thing I've ever heard. And then like I think it was like a few episodes ago, Owen was saying like, oh, I'm just gonna hold them back. And now he's like, I hate selling snakes. And I'm like, you sound like me, man. Grumpy old man. Welcome to my world.
I don't blame him, dude. Like you start putting it out there enough, eventually the volume increases to a point where there's a decent percentage of those customers that drive you crazy or take up a lot of your time or just problems.
Yeah, I know like sometimes I come across like I don't like selling snake. That's not it at all. It's just that because I'm so busy, I feel like I don't have enough time to like go into detail with customer questions and newbie questions and stuff like that. And it's a little bit, if I'm being honest, it's a little frustrating because it's like, well, once a week we talk about these things, so you can listen there
for 9 years.
I have 2 websites that have tons of information on it, so you could go there. I mean, I don't know.
You're not necessarily a hermit.
Yeah. It's not like I'm like, get away from me, I hate people. Well,
it's not like you're difficult to find. It's not like you don't have like tree branches of media content out there with information that would answer all their questions.
My goal was always to be like Gary Valle, right? I don't even know if I say that right, but like
that's actually how you say it.
Is it Valle? Okay.
Yeah.
So like you got to hunt him down. Like you need to know somebody to know somebody to know somebody in order to get information to even get close to buying something from him. But like, if you get that information, it's like, okay, you've worked to get, I know that sounds, I don't know. Sometimes I wonder about how this shit sounds when I say it, but like, you know what I mean? Like it's a serious buyer if you're trying to hunt down.
The bottom line is if you open your door to every knucklehead that came in with a 10% of what the asking price is, you'd never get through all of that conversation. And you have to have some way to filter that out just to get to the real folks who are really interested and who are really going to appreciate it. It's not mean. It has nothing to do with personal choice. It's a numbers game. When you have that many people out there in the world these days that are like, ooh, shiny snake, must have it. And like there's millions of people that are impulse like shopping like that. And then when it comes to the numbers, they're like, oh, I can't afford that. And then you never hear from them again. And you've just wasted however much time and all this headache and potentially some arguing. And, they might post crap on social media. And it just becomes this nonsensical way that's just never ending. And it's only getting worse these days with social media in our pockets. So having some stages of filtering,
helps that.
And there's nothing wrong. And the people who get offended by it are the ones that maybe should like pump the brakes and go figure out why that sort of system exists, because it's not unique to any one person or hobby. Like that's just how it goes.
Right. Yeah. I don't know what you have planned for topics, but I was curious what you guys think about as far as like, with COVID and everything, and we're in the breeding season. I mean, are you guys going like balls to the walls with stuff, or are you like peeling it back, or like what's your thoughts?
You can take that one, Lucas.
Sure. Yeah, I'll go first. So for me, I'm pairing everything that is old enough to responsibly be paired, which in my case, is only 4 pairs of Brebels pythons, but I'm definitely going for it. And now actually that is my master's thesis for the zoo science program. So essentially, I'm gonna be trying to study maternal versus artificially incubated babies and Bredl's pythons. So it kind of has become this cool thing where the breeding is what I was going to be doing anyway, but now I'm also doing this whole project with it on top of that. And Nick Mutton is going to be joining me for that work. And I know we've talked about it as well, and more conversations to be had. But yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Sick. I'm still, I've got, I think nine female carpets that I'm going to aim for this year. And I'm trying all of them in the assumption that some of them might not go, some of them will. That being said, this will be one of those years where, like, I can't say it's any of them's first time, or like there's a lot of females that are finally, plenty mature. Like they could have bred last year sort of thing and didn't.
Right.
So there's just, I don't know. It's my perspective with COVID is that people are sitting at home, appreciating their animals more, spending more time on their animals, working from home. So whether that means they've got more time to take care of their animals or it's just in front of them more, so they're thinking about it more. But the industry is really doing very well during COVID. Even
seems like that, right?
Yeah, even retail is doing really, really well. There's actually so much consumption going on that supply chains are having a hard time to keep up. And part of that is also because of manpower limitations as a result of COVID. Sure. But like, it's hard to just get feeders. It's hard to get, enclosures and bedding and light bulbs and all these like hard goods and things as far as the retail side goes. It's trickling in and it's starting to improve. But all of, these folks at home with these stimulus checks and all this time on their hands, it's really benefited the industry. Oddly enough, tarantula sales at work are our biggest seller. Like we sell hundreds. We sell hundreds of tarantulas, dude. It's crazy.
Wow.
And it's because people want something that they can just take care of while they're working at home. Yeah. Whether it's a little desk pet or, finally taking a plunge into a species that they've always sort of looked at from afar. So for me, I feel like I can responsibly produce, as many clutches as what comes out this season and find homes for them, not only just through online sales for my distribution, but even if I, felt like wholesaling some stuff through the shop or whatever, I can do that. I think there's enough demand for that right now. And a lot of it is because people are starting to look for diversity. So the bread and butter reptiles are not going anywhere, but now all of a sudden the obscure, the fringe species are starting to get some attention.
Yeah. Yeah. I like with me, I don't know. I'm sort of like, what's that? What are we looking at?
Did Einstein have a staring problem? I don't understand.
No. It's just been on my wall forever, and I've been wondering if anybody would ever.
Oh, back. Okay. Right over my head.
See this?
Over.
See it? See it right there, Lucas?
I got it now. Thank you.
All right.
I'm picturing the guy in my head. I'm like, were his eyes wonky? Anyway. Sorry, Eric.
Think about that for a second.
Oh man.
I swear it was a Bigfoot. No, it was a bear. I swear it was a Bigfoot.
Live television.
Yeah, I don't know. I go back and forth with it. Because I do hold on to a lot of stuff to see how it goes. I think the thing for me with holding back a clutch is like, I want to learn like how they develop, especially with, if we're talking like Popwin carpets and stuff that really hasn't, been bred as much as say a jungle carpet, so like I think that when you're doing jungle, I don't know about you guys, but like I can sort of look at a jungle and say I think that one's going to be nice, and I'd say probably like maybe 90% of the time I hit it, hit it pretty good. You start to look for little traits, little things, is this one going to have tipping? Is this one not going to have tipping? Is it, is the clutch, that one animal that comes out of the clutch and it just has this look. You don't know what the look is. I don't know how to explain it, but you're just like, you're the one. that I'm keeping back, you know,
Yeah.
and
There's always one.
yeah,
Yeah.
you always have that one, and you sort of base, like for me, I sort of base off like, you know, what off of that one, and then I sort of, does this one look similar to that one, and how close is it, you know, that kind of thing. I also kind of look for
Keep it flowing.
Yes. More, please. I also sort of look for, you know, just like interesting patterns, or, you know, something that's just kind of different. Could it be selectively bred for? Could it be, you know, all those things like pop into my head when I'm looking at stuff. But I think for me, it's like you just hold them back so you can see how they develop and see if it was developed the way you thought it was going to come out. You know, I think the only way to really learn that is by holding back, and that requires space, time, money, and, you know,
and then patience. You got to resist the urge to sell them. You got to just, you got to trust the process.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Burking.
Yes.
Correct.
So Chris asked a question that kind of plays into this, because he mentions selective, like the selective selling and keeping of babies as it pertains to the MIA stuff, which is, you know, relatively new. So for those who don't know, there's basically now 3 generations of captive bred MIA line animals. You got the 18, 19s, and 20s.
Right.
And then there's obviously going to be more to come. And it was, you know, 2.1 animals that came in. So now they're going to switch males.
Right.
So, you know, there's still the foundation to be laid on the second half of, you know, these animals. And then the first round of, you know, whoever breeds theirs first, we don't really know what those animals are going to look like after a few generations. So that would be a great line of animals to keep everything back for a couple of years, like 2 years, to see what that really is going to look like. Because I've got 4 of them here, and there's a lot of variety in the looks of these animals. And so I think the fresh blood and what they can bring to the table has yet to be seen. And so that would be a great group of animals to
what's the variety? Is it tipping? Is it striping? Is it
there's
dark pattern, or
there's a lot of rich blacks across the board. They all have really, really nice rich blacks, but then some of them have that fishnetting edging to the yellow. Some of them have like two-tone yellow. Some of them have like circles almost, and it's kind of spotty. Some of them have a lot of clean tendency, like wanting to be striped. I've seen some of the folks who picked up some really nice, like they look like they want to be striped sort of thing. And then, there's some moderate tipping to them. Some of them have a dominant level of black, though. That's really, really nice. But not all of them are like the perfect, clean, selectively bred jungles like we've seen. You know, a lot of them have more of a canary gold color to them versus that highlighter yellow. And some of them have a little bit of like, you know, earthy tones to that yellow on the dorsal after a while. But I mean, it's like the first run of them. So we've got to work with them to refine that. But they're freaking killer, man. All of them, their faces, the yellow and black on their faces is just like, bam, popped and rich in color. They all look stunning, dude. Like, yeah.
That's awesome.
Cool.
And just fresh blood. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah.
How
often does that happen?
How can you do better than that?
Exactly. And so now that, like, from my perspective, you know, I'm not speaking for anybody involved in the distribution of this project. I'm not, you know, giving out trade secrets or anything, but they selectively dished out these animals to folks so they knew would appreciate them. And now that there's 3 generations of them, you're starting to see more people with these animals now, which is great for the hobby overall, because fresh blood can only do good things. But yeah, when I got the opportunity for that, I was like, I don't care what they look like. That's freaking new junk. I'll take 2.
Right.
Send me whatever. I'll be happy. Trust me. I don't care what they look like. So, but yeah, so like that kind of stuff really opens the door for new potential. And so we can keep selectively breeding jungles now. I feel like the old, like, jungles are dead, like you can't get them any better, is now maybe been pushed back a little bit, because now we can see what else we can do with them.
You know, I want to hit on that for a second. And I know that I've said that a lot on NPR, and I think like what I mean by that is like the look of what I see of today's jungles are sort of all like the same. I don't know if you remember like in the MP days, like when Andrew Hare would post up pictures of his animals and stuff, and like the variety of jungles it reminds me of what similar to what you see in Australia, right? They have all these different looks, like solid black with stripe, or the tipping with the stripe, or, you know, highly tipped out fish netted, you know, crazy looking, almost diamond cross type of look, and like all these different looks. And now it seems that it's sort of hit into this, like, you know, your typical yellow and black jungle, and and like,
or the ivories, like
like it's like one of those two looks, and that's where it went. But like, there's so much potential, dude. But the gelatins,
the gelatins have been overlooked forever, and I mean, they're there. They're that's a third look.
The amount of projects that can be done with gelatins is mind-blowing, because there's so many. I've produced 2 clutches, and in one clutch, using the same parents, totally like heavy striping throughout the clutch, right? And then I'm like, okay, so I guess I'm getting the stripe thing, which is weird, because I remember when they came in from Europe, right? From Paul, you know, Nick had a pair and I had a pair, and Nick was sort of going back and forth on which one he should have or whatever, you know, like, oh, which ones do I want to keep? Do I want to keep this look, or do I want that look? And then it ended up that he sent me the ones that weren't as striped, and then I bred them, and then all these stripes popped out. So I was like, well, I guess that didn't matter. And then, you know, the following year, now I'm getting all these crazy, like, more labyrinthy type patterns and stuff. It's kind of wild, you know, and like there's so many you know, different directions that you can go with that. I mean, you can make them whiter, you can make them darker. They got like this green tinge to it going on in the background. The saddles can be, I don't know, man. It's so you'll see soon enough when I send you some.
I've seen I've seen some of the variation in gelatins that you've posted on Nick's website, and I like the word you use, labyrinthy, because that's kind of the perfect way to describe it. In a lot of those really extreme phenotypically diverse ones, it reminds me of a labyrinth berm. And then it's funny that you mentioned they sort of have a green look, because I wouldn't quite call it on the same spectrum as ivory, and it's definitely not yellow. It's like a grayish, but it's not xanthic. It's kind of like its own weird thing. It's really neat. Now, because that look is so different, ivories have been selectively bred to go wider and wider and wider. The only thing you can do with those is use that to maybe make some of your yellow stuff brighter, or get some nice, you know, mix of there. But is there any potential for mixing gelatin into other lines, given how diverse that? I mean, that's a totally different look, and that's either going to make your yellows look muddy or pull the brightness out of your white. So would anybody have any benefit to doing anything with gelatins other than specifically line breeding within the gelatin family?
You know, I don't know. I sort of go back and forth with this myself. Like, I guess it, you know, I'm sort of waiting for the book to come out so I know where the subspecies fall. So I'm not, you know,
right. What if jungles and coastals are the same anyway?
Right. Yeah, exactly. I don't know, man. I think the opportunity is there that you could definitely use them to outcross stuff. I mean, you know, I think that you're going to get more of a look of what you see in Australia, though. I don't think you're going to get if you're trying to make the classic yellow and black jungle, breeding gelatins into it is probably not the way to go. You know, I don't know. I that would be my guess, but I don't know. Who knows? You know, sometimes you breed stuff and you're like, wow, I didn't think that would turn out like that. Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah. You never know until you try.
Yeah. At some point I will.
We got to get some jungles into Lucas's collection.
I know. I'm like listening to this whole conversation. Like, I need all of them now.
Flying under the radar over here with his Aspadites and Breadline.
Yeah. and false water cobra.
Oh yeah, that's right. We got you wrapped into the
I
colubrid
almost bought a
poison.
Spinosaurus fossil tooth last night, though. I don't know. Like, I feel like I got muttoned a little bit. Like, I've been watching all these like Pleistocene videos, like the PBS Eon series. I'm like, what happened? Why am I here?
You've
Like,
been muttoned.
so yeah, I just like,
It was
wow.
from that conversation you and him had talking about collecting rare fossils and mammoth
Yeah,
teeth.
he's telling me about his like not even fossilized mammoth tooth. I'm like, I want a tooth. That's so cool.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway, I didn't do it. So yeah, jungles for sure.
Yeah. Well, you've got a lot to choose from.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys saw that. So Rob sent me. So he had this. We went to Tully Gorge, and unfortunately we didn't find a jungle, but just being in that spot was like sort of like, oh my God, this is Tully. Like you heard that name for so long, like, oh my God, Tully, and you're seeing like, oh look, Tully Library. Oh look, Tully. It's like a real spot now. It's not like this magical place where jungles live and look beautiful and all this stuff. But so Rob sent me this snake, and holy shit, man. Wow. Like I need to find a male Tully so that we can keep that line going. Oh no, you're still there. Oh wait, you have a Tully too? Is that a Tully?
No.
Oh.
I grabbed my no. I wish I had a Tully. No, I grabbed my MIA female, the one that is staying here.
Okay. Wow. Yeah,
that is absolutely beautiful.
See, I like those little dots that they're going through.
Yeah, it's kind of busy, but also not like random.
Do you remember that jungle that Peter, I think his name was Peter something, and he was on MP, and he was trying to sell, it was like right before the forum kind of like went away, and he was trying to sell this jungle carpet, and he actually produced, it had like these circles on the side.
Oh, wild.
And it was reproducible, and nobody gave a shit. Like, I don't know where that snake went. Nobody cared. I have a picture of it sitting in a water bowl, and it's like these like little circle porthole. And I know it's different than like the the snake you just put up has like sort of those, so like see those portals on the side that's right there.
Yeah, but they're solid.
But they're circles, and
right.
They're solid, and they're uniform going down the side of the snake. It's wild.
That's a trip.
Nobody gave a shit. I didn't have money back then, so I couldn't buy it. But
we gotta find that.
That guy must have been so bummed out. He's like, look, everybody, nobody cares.
We just want banded jungles.
Yeah.
Not yellow enough.
Yeah, right. Send it back.
Yeah.
How's the temperament on those guys?
They're awesome.
Yeah.
They're all great.
Sweet.
Yeah. They've all been solid.
Nice.
I haven't had an issue with them. They're all phenotypically really distinct and different. But it's funny because like if you put these next trophy jungle and didn't label either of them, these would never sell until all those like trophy jungles would go, because people don't, they wouldn't think it's as pretty. Like this thing, if you put this next to like any, nice headhunter or something, this thing is, it's kind of like brown compared to that, but
yeah,
it's still freaking yellow. And obviously this camera quality is not doing it justice, but still it's not a screaming highlighter, you know what I mean? But it looks like a jungle that, you could pick up off the ground over in its native range and be like, yeah, I'd buy that. Yeah, I could see that. It's not ridiculous. It's not blinding my eyes out. I could see it. It's got some earthy tones to it. Like, sure.
Yeah,
you could sell me. So
shit, Riley, somebody from Australia could sell me a jungle without an eye, missing part of its tail, scars on its back.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Are you repeating that pairing that you did the MI jungles, or did that female need another year to bounce back?
I'm actually trying to take that female to the best male from that clutch.
Okay, for sure. Is that what you've been sending into the chat?
Yeah, he's like, difference? Dude, he's tiny. He's tiny. He's like this big.
Yeah. Pictures are hilarious, but
I also put him in with another female, and he's been like slowly, I think, figuring out like that this isn't just another cage to go find the hot spot and sleep sort of thing. Because I find him draped across him. I don't know what's going on, but it's obviously still early. I'm just trying to get him like thinking about it. But yeah, I'm trying to actually put him back over mom. He's only he's only 19 months old, but he's a beast. He's a big boy. So
that clutch was so pretty.
Yeah, I kept 2.2 of them.
Did you?
Yeah, they're all totally different too. You want to talk about like the variety in phenotype. I kept the one that stood out the most from like day one. When they're black and gray when they first hatch out. This one was black and white when it first came out of the eggs. Was like staying, and then there were a lot of stripes in that clutch. So I found the best like 4 or 5. And then there were still some more. So some folks actually got some really nice stripes out of that clutch.
Is that the clutch I have one from?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice jungle for sure. Yeah.
And one of the females has like a nearly perfect unbroken stripe all the way down. And the side pattern is completely isolated. And there's tons of tipping all over the sides. Like she's going to be yellow as an adult. And then a male who's really dark blacks, and his yellow is very gold, like not bright, so he'll be really dark. I named him Dark Mark. Has nothing to do with Harry Potter, by the way. And so there's some good stripes in there, but they need some color, and there's a couple different looks to these stripes. There's a lot of tipping, there's some clean black ones, so I couldn't decide on which ones to keep, so I kept 4.
Nice.
There you go.
Nice. Is that like
partial Burking?
Yeah, it's a partial Burking. So I'm hoping that male is ready to go this year, because the father of that clutch, he didn't come out of that winter very, very, very nicely. He's been in rough shape since, but he's finally eating like a horse and he's doing really well. But I just don't feel like putting him into rotation after having a year of just sparse feeding it. I don't think it would go well. So
yeah, for sure.
It's either the little guy gets it done or I have to push it off another year, which sucks.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the intelligent call to make though, right? You got to kind of assess that as you go along.
Well, and in terms of the selective breeding, it would be the next step. So it makes sense. And I don't want to put any other male to those females. So if he doesn't get it done, I'm not going to make babies just for the sake of making, babies that have no purpose. Right. That'll be my own sort of filter from keeping myself overproducing this year. That'll be one filter. I kind of have projects that I've been sitting on for a while and just want them to go that direction. And if they don't go in my timeline, that's how it goes. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm notorious for sort of planning things out, but like, I think the last couple of years, it's sort of like, I've adapted more of the Owen style of looking at things, where I'm sort of like, sort of still have the game plan, but I think more and more I'm sort of looking at like, like when I was looking at my parents for this year, the majority of them are normal stuff, like very, very low morph ended, like a lot of coastal projects that are selectively bred stuff. Like I'd like to make ivory tigers.
Oh,
nice. And have them be pure coastal,
Right.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna leave. Like, obviously, for me with jungles, it's more about the lines. So I, the lightning line stuff that I'm working with, I've held all that back. Now the Tully stuff to sort of complete that, the gelatin stuff, and then various I got like weird jungles. Johnny Blaze stuff, all that kind of stuff. Is Johnny Blaze even popular anymore? Do people know who Johnny Blaze is? Is that like,
what is that?
Yes. So it's our generation, Riley, of Johnny Blaze.
I'll bite.
Johnny Blaze was
is that a snake or a person?
It was a snake, and it was a jungle carpet that was like perfectly banded. And had really nice color, and it's Chris Behoff, sort of like I think he only bred it twice, right? Does that sound right, Riley? Like
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, the animal that I got is beautiful, but yeah, I don't know. So that's sort of like sort of like my jungle collection. I focus more on the stuff that doesn't get the love, like coastals and IJs and inlands and stuff like that.
Ooh,
what does he got?
I got jealous of Riley having a snake, so pulled out this male bredli that's going to go this year.
Nice.
This is the double het stonewash stripe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't hold my adult bredli without legitimate risk of donating blood. Yeah.
I guess I'm just fortunate. None of mine are that way. But like when I talk about them, I like to say that in general, they're going to be friendly because there's going to be nasty any species, right? Like,
Sure.
You can get lit up by a Kenyan samboa on the wrong day.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I guess that's bad luck, man.
Yeah, it's funny. They didn't used to be that way, and then they got bigger, and they're like, "Ooh, we really love food. Ooh, your hand is the same size as food, always." So I've actually in one of the older carpets and coffee, I took out my female when she was about 3.5, so decent size, and she was cruising around normal, and then all of a sudden decided to grab and wrap my hand while recording. So I just kept it down here, and then was just like talking about what it was like being bit, and then they're like, "What's it like?" I was like, "Well, if you see what's going on, this is how they grab their food and then they wrap." And I made it this educational thing and let her do her thing for 10 minutes and then put her away. And then ever since then, she's been very, very food motivated, even outside of her enclosure. And my male has become the same way, apparently. So
interesting.
But the two younger ones that I've just acquired this year, the het stonewash from Owen is a sweetheart, and the stonewash female I got from Alan is also really gentle. So
nice.
Maybe I'll get
that's interesting.
2 of them that'll be friendly.
My stonewashed female, like visual stonewash, is definitely the most chill snake I have. Like, I wonder if there's anything to that. But
I don't know.
I'm glad you got those.
Yeah, I'm excited. They're really pretty. I forgot what it's like raising up baby Brettles.
Yeah, it's fun. Every shed is a completely different snake for those first couple of years.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the coolest thing with them that for me was Nick did that talk on, what was it, Herpaton?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it was Casey's picture. I'm not sure whose picture it was, but they had a picture of a bredli shoved into a rock, and I never understood like the end of their tail, like why it looked like, why was the end of their tail this color and the rest of them were this other color. But dude, it camouflaged perfectly in that rock. Like it was perfect.
Interesting.
Like, oh, I get it. I understand now,
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Dang. Seeing things in context, really light bulbs.
Speaking of bredli pictures, I got in trouble. Dr. Wyman messaged me on Facebook for talking crap about his picture on NPR.
I saw that.
He tracked me down. I was terrified.
Listen, you whippersnapper.
He said, "I heard we have a bone to pick." And I said, "No, sir, only respect."
That's awesome.
I saw that. I was like, "Ooh, juicy." Yep.
Gotta watch what you say on air. Now I'm scared.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because this is live and uncut. I was thinking about it earlier. I was like, man, for everybody who's going to love all the mistakes and their ears being blown out from, live audio feeds that loved all that in the original NPR days, this is like nostalgic, hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully the audio is a little better, though. We all have our pop filters and mics going on.
Yeah, and it StreamYard, it'll normalize audio sort of automatically, so it's not
Those are the golden days, though. I'd be driving, listening to NPR. I'm in the zone, and then Owen laughs right next to the thing, and I almost crash. Yeah, I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, I would listen to it all the time, just like in the room or on my computer or something like that. My girlfriend, she's even familiar with Owen blowing out the fucking audio.
Owen and that voice, man. You know what's so funny when I go to edit it, right? when I go to edit NPR now, right? Yeah, I look at my wave
You're a
and
little
his
wiggly.
wave, and his is like this big, right? And mine's like this big. So it's kind of like us in real life, you know what I mean? Like
Oh, that's good. Yeah, dude, I used to like even have headphones in and just like, oh God, God, you know, like
Get
holy
your heart
crap.
going. It's like a gunshot.
Yeah, you know, we get our balls busted for that a lot, but like, you know, I wrote up a little like, so two things I have of a thought, right? As of late, I've been sort of thinking about like the idea that like I get obsessed with herp history, right? I'm obsessed with what came before us and learning the stories. And, you know, I just find that fascinating, right? Like how stuff was imported, how it came to be, who bred it, how did it get distributed across the US and who worked with it in the beginning and all that kind of stuff. But I often forget that like we're still like in herpetoculture now. So like 20, 30 years from now, will be people wondering, you know, oh, I wonder when they were on carpets and cliff notes, or you know, carpets and cliff notes.
Can't take it back. It's live.
Carpets and Coffee or NPR or whatever, you know, podcast or whatever. It's like, you know, we're all sort of making history now, if you will, like all of us that are in the hobby and breeding and keeping and, you know, and it's, I don't know if people think about that. I don't know. Do you guys think about that? Like you're
All
sort
the
of
time.
like,
a few decades from now, when everybody has the new smart vivariums that do everything for you, they're like, what? You had to use a thermostat and change the temperature.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think what's really sort of kickstarting that for me is like, you know, my dad is like obsessed again. Like he's all in, man. He's got, he got this emerald skink and he loves this thing.
Those are the
emerald green skink. Yeah.
Those are cool.
He has this, and like he's never watched a video on naturalistic setup or bioactivity or anything like that, right? And he set it all up himself. I'm like, Dad, what did you watch to see this? Like, how did you do this? And he's just like, what are you talking about? You just replicate nature in a box. What's wrong with you? And I'm like, oh, okay. But so then so I went over there the other day and he's like, oh, look, I got this gecko. And I'm like, what? He's like, it's a leopard gecko. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. But to him,
so happy that your dad can be so excited about leopard geckos.
Yeah.
This man had crocodilians and cobras.
It's like, check this out. Doesn't it have a cool pattern? And I'm like, I said, this is what the hobby's about. And I think this is what gets lost. Like the appreciation of just the animal itself, you know? And I'm just like, it gives me a whole different perspective and the way to look at the hobby, if you will. And then my sister's all into it too. So she's got like this wall now of like these cages that are all naturalistic setup and all. And I'm like, my goodness, you've only been doing this like 3 months. Like, what's going on? She's like, this is so addicting. Like, yes.
Now you understand.
Yes. Now you get it, you know?
But
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
It's fun, man. I see it all the time at work nowadays, and it's really, it's hard to ignore for sure.
The accessibility of the knowledge and the tools to set something like that up, I feel like is definitely at its peak at the moment, you know, and in terms of if I wanted to do bioactive, which you guys know mine ended in utter failure, but I can order a kit from BioDude and watch a YouTube video and be set up, or, you know, like your dad said, just do it as like outside, you know, but
yeah.
Like, damn you, Dad, and you're dropping common sense knowledge on me. Damn
How dare you use logic in the face of speculation?
Yes, I know, right?
It's hard to ignore that the hobby is definitely taking a push towards that. And, you know, I personally love keeping my animals on paper. It's easy to clean and do that. And I can always, you know, really keep a close eye on their outward health and appearance and things. But then I'm looking at 3 Madagascar giant hognoses that are all periscoping out of cocoa blocks and just staring at me down the window.
Right.
And then I see my Cribos really benefiting from substrate, and I've actually gone through waves of trying different substrate mixes for some of my carpets, and ultimately I end up getting away from it because it's just a pain in the ass for cleaning and sterility and all this other stuff. And it gets in their heat pits, or they make a mess of their water all the time. And there's just, every time I did it, I eventually got sick of it and went back to paper. But at the shop, seeing, people buying these supplies to set up displays, and we're setting up displays, just kind of showcase what you can do with that, and seeing how, it's really pretty. It's hard to ignore. So I don't know, seeing the guys make those rock ledges for their roughies, and
like foaming the back and then carving it out.
That's
cool stuff.
Yeah. And I made, some naturalistic like foam sculpted displays at the zoo for some tarantulas and a few other enclosures. And it's, once you get going, you start realizing how you can do it better next time. And then you start wanting to do it more and wanting to do it more. And I don't know, it's all, you got to want it. You got to really want it, because the upkeep is going to be a lot more than just paper, water bowl, hide, perch sort of thing. And it's all easy to take out, clean, and put back.
I think your house might become an anthill.
Yeah.
They're still here.
Oh, shit.
They've moved in.
When I took away the bioactive part that they were living in, now they just live on the coffee table. And how do people deal with the ants? I like what Owen said. You get the spiders for the ants, then you get toads for the spiders, then you get gorillas for the toads, and what did he say for the gorillas? You wait till winter. Anyway, sorry to cut you off, Eric.
No.
That'd be a terrible experiment.
Something only Owen and his wittiness could come up with.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, I'm with you, Riley. I think that it's always the struggle, right? If you're going to be a breeder and you're going to breed on any kind of level, it's hard to do, naturalistic or even bioactive type of stuff, So for me, it's like I have certain, so I'm lucky. And then you got to have unlimited space, unlimited funds, unlimited time.
Yep.
Or you gotta cut your collection down. So I think for the thing that I think is a positive trend that I'm seeing in the hobby is that people are now being able to keep animals, have a couple breeding projects that they might be working on, but have a focus of some beautiful reptiles that they can highlight in a naturalistic cage, and they can enjoy them for what they are, and they don't feel pressure that they have to breed in order to be somebody in the hobby or be a part of the hobby. You know what I mean? Right. I think that's a positive push that, I used to, say to the Morelia crowd all the time back in the day. I said, guys, I think we're doing this all wrong. I mean, we have like these beautiful animals that display beautifully, and like all we're focused on is just like selling to somebody so that they can breed. And then they're going to be focused on selling it so they can, you know what I mean? It's like the pyramid, if you will. And I think more now you're seeing more than I can remember is, people just keeping like one of something and putting it in a cage with this awesome setup. I think of Matt Somerville. I don't know if you guys have seen him from Australia, but he even has like the cracked clay soil. You know what I mean?
That was amazing.
Holy shit, this guy's going in depth.
I love watching what he does.
Yeah, man. It's hard to, the dream was always like, you want to be able to go in and you want to be able to see what your animals do and what their behavior is in the wild, in the comfort of your home,
Right. I love the term that I've heard you use before, private zookeeper, if you will.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
right.
It becomes almost more of a living piece of art when you get to a certain point with it.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. That's a whole nother appeal than just, snakes in boxes that can make more snakes.
Yeah. But you need both, so it's kind of like, I wish there was a way that I'm sure there will be at some point that, cage manufacturers or somebody's going to come up with an idea to sort of like, go be on the fence with that. So you're sort of like the convenience of keeping in a rack, if you will, but like more, more streamlined to maybe give the animal access to things that might be healthier long term for them.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Some creative engineering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chop,
I
chop,
mean,
guys.
so yeah,
Get on
right.
it.
Yeah, there definitely ought to be a way to have rack systems that can incorporate little small, full spectrum lighting. And I think the thing that is what really bothers people is that it looks like a soulless plastic cold storage bin versus having that open window is literally the difference maker. Tubs with windows don't bother people quite as much as a tub does. But it's not quite the same. Like literally like it's a door, it's a window, and there's lighting, and the animal can see out. People think about it differently. You have to play the psychology. So if they come up with a rack that has the same convenience of a removable, cleanable tub, but it has a window and it looks like there's lighting, and then you can have the room to set it up with branches and things. I think that would kind of be that bridge that gets people from having that sort of issue with it. The problem is they both need to exist in order for that little girl to be able to go get that animal at an affordable price and set it up with these items from these companies that only exist because of this level of production of animals. Like without the breeders who produce things on large scale, you do not have the availability and affordability and the developed industry that we have today that anybody can go just get a frog or a snake and keep it in a beautiful setup at home, because time is money. Money is money. So if you're a breeder and you go full, huge, elaborate, over the top, your production is this big. But if you maximize your space, your production is better. Therefore, prices go down, and it all makes sense, right? It's all just simple economics and math, essentially.
Right.
So for there to be such a polarized stigma against racks and things like that is just utter hypocrisy, because that's like wanting your cake and being able to eat it too. You don't get to get your affordable Australian pet and then trash racks. That's just not how this works.
Absolutely. Agreed. I mean, imagine if somebody like Nick Mutton could only keep in cages, he'd probably have 20% of what he has, with his current.
You wouldn't have your double het stonewashed
I would
stripes.
not have these Riddles pythons. No. Right. Yeah. 100%. That's a really good point, Riley. I don't think I've ever heard anybody put it that way before.
Yeah.
But on the same note, there is a middle ground, and it's just, it just depends on which avenue you choose. They can exist. Both can exist together, and you can have a hybridization and blend the two and get creative. And I think we're starting to see companies thinking about that sort of approach nowadays. Freedom Breeder's been tinkering with, like a front opening, but tub style stack of cages that are more arboreal. So I think it's starting to be on the forefront of people's minds, and I think in time we'll see some sort of hybrids in there.
If I was getting into the reptile hobby now and I was looking at it, I don't know if I was trying to make money and do it as a living. To me, I would try to come up with a way to sort of engineer something that sort of was in the middle there and gave people options where you could easily add or take away certain things, or like, cages designed specifically for a certain species, I think a lot of times, like, I don't know about you guys, but for me, what makes it so hard about trying to find a cage is like, I'm looking for specific things, you know what I mean? And like, it's like, they're all cookie cuttered to sort of be like 4x2 by, and I get it. That, you get a sheet of PVC, you have to, you have to be able to utilize as much of that as you can to turn a profit. You know what I mean? You can't just like have all these scraps of PVC and just floating around because somebody wanted, or I'm sure they do custom stuff, right? But then even that becomes, I don't know. I don't know.
Price goes up.
Yeah. At a premium.
Right. Exactly. Because the company has to make money based off of, well, that's what they're there for. Right. But like, I think if there was a way that a company could come along that could somehow, figure that out, specific by species, you would sort of like, I think that I think that would make it easier for some of these more obscure species if a new keeper was coming along, could just sort of like say, okay, this is what's made for, like, you know how like AP has sort of the carpet python cage thing?
Exactly what I was thinking.
Right. But even that is not really, like, I don't know. That's not how I would design a carpet python cage.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I would necessarily design it for like, you take like diamond pythons. To me, if I was designing that kind of cage, I would even make it taller because they perch. Darwin carpets are another one. They're like always perching all the time. Everybody I talk to, they seem to say that they're like more arboreal than others. And then, I've talked about it on NPR, but Gavin was saying that the male that he tracked for those years was never left the trees. Like even when she laid the eggs or anything, everything was in the trees. So I don't know. But
yeah.
We'll get some blend of all of it sooner or later, I'm sure. I mean, Lucas has, nice cages behind him with branches and perching and plants and things, and it's an aesthetically nice setup, but it's also functional for you because it provides the space for your animals. And if I'm not mistaken, those are your Aspidites and your larger bredli in there.
Yeah, that's right. Female bredli, adult blackhead. I'm sad though. I did have to take my big log out that I had in the top cage. I had a really big log that the big adult female bredli would use all the time, but I got pine beetles come in with my substrate, and they were just burrowing through the thing. And I probably could have just baked it, and that would have been the end of that. But I got freaked out, so I tossed it. But I got to get another one.
But you have those enclosures, one, because your animals are large enough to mandate such space. In fact, 2, because you want to see them, I'm assuming, right?
Yes.
and 3, because it just looks nice. And if you're going to keep a small focused collection and you have the space, why not? I'm assuming.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is definitely the thought process. And I was just going to say too, like these are either 4 or 5 foot cages, and I feel that they're even getting a little bit too small for the adult female bredli. I really want to get some 6 foot cages when I'm able to do so. But yeah, for me, I think ideally everything would be in a cage. I'm not at a place in life where that's possible for me right now, but as many snakes that I can have in a setup like this, that's the goal, I guess, if you will. I think that I enjoy it more, which keeps me engaged. And, that's good for the snakes and for me. You hear about people getting burnt out and stuff like that. This is a whole other side of that, being able to arrange the plants and make it look appealing. And yeah, I talked about it too. I have a big window over here where I get a lot of natural sunlight. It's like a west facing window. And with the cages like this, the sunlight hits the cages every day around, 3 or 4 o'clock. And the snakes know, they plan for it. They come out and bask. And I think that that's really cool and not something that my snakes in racks can experience at the moment. So I don't know, just thoughts.
I would agree.
Yeah. Once you see that behavior, it becomes unignorable. And then to then like take steps back or take that away from them almost seems like not the right thing to do. So yeah, once you experience that, it's hard to ignore,
I guess for me, and the way that I've said it before is just anything that I can do that leads to the snakes exhibiting a behavior, anything that I can do that leads to an action besides sitting in a hide and waiting for food, that to me is a success. Like I like to see these things exhibiting the natural behaviors that they would if they weren't in my room as often as possible. I geek out on that. And, then that gets you thinking, why are they doing it? Would they be doing it under X, Y, and Z circumstances in the wild? And, it opens up a whole can of worms for sure.
Right. Yeah, and basking behavior. Chris is asking if we've seen animals bask under LED lights in cages. I would say, yeah, I think they do pick up on photo periods. I've got a window in my room that I'm pretty diligent on making sure is available all day for them to get the natural photo period and seasonal changes. So the few cages that do have light, I do see animals utilizing that. I've seen a lot of examples of other people who have LEDs or UVB and heat bulbs and stuff. And like before the actual like heat bulb comes on, their snake will be basking under just the UV like hours before the heat comes on. And it's like a pattern of behavior of doing that. So I think there's a lot more that we don't see by keeping these animals in racks. And I think if we get to that point, you know, where we can really make it easy to do in a mass quantity sort of system.
Sure.
You know, like if there was just a standard for taller tubs and they were clearer and there was always like some sort of light rail that ran with the tub so you never have to bust it off, or some sort of access where it's built into the levels above so like tubs can slide over seamlessly, or just something like that where there's always light in there, and that you'd see these behaviors more. Like those really clear Cambro tubs and then lights. And then just, you know, doing that, and then you could really go ham on it. We would see all of those cool behaviors.
Exactly. I kind of remember when we were at P and Cody's house, some of their arboreal vipers and stuff were in that sort of setup, right? The Cambro tubs in a rack, but the rack was lit up. So for all intents and purposes, it was no different than like a cube. You know, from even just looking at it. But I think that's sort of like what people sort of get taken back by with the rack thing. It's sort of like, and I get it, especially with carpets. It's like you kind of, you know, I don't know, you kind of feel bad. Like, oh man, they should really have access to be able, because I have not seen anybody say about like arboreal hides and carpets not using.
Right.
Like, so. Do they really want to do that? You know, and then I don't know. I've said it before, but seeing them in the wild kind of changes your whole idea of seeing them, you know, keeping them too. To me, I sort of started with my diamond pythons, right? And even those cages aren't right. Like they're not tall enough as far as I'm concerned. They're not big enough. They need to be taller. And like I bought those from AP. It's like the standard, I think they're T8s, maybe 4-footers. They're just not tall enough. So now I have these 4-foot, like, what am I going to do with these? You know, and I think I'm just going to end up building my own is what it's going to come down to, you know?
Nice.
Where we get the time to do that. But I think diamond pythons in particular, for me, in my opinion, out of all the carpets I keep, to me would be the one that would most benefit from UV light, you know, basking spots and perching in particular.
Right.
And I would bet that if you set up cages like that and threw every species and subspecies together, you would get variations of those behaviors just because they have it available and how active they are. They'd eventually use that.
They have nothing but time. If you put it in there, they're going to find it and they're going to do something.
I mean,
I'd be curious to see the difference between Papuans and say that are from Papua New Guinea and then the carpets that we have that are from Australia. Like, behavior. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I was just gonna say like following up on Lucas's comment. If you give them stuff, eventually they're gonna use it. There was a ball python I used to work with at the zoo that was 40 years old, and I would catch it 3 feet off the ground up a tree quite often. So you know, I think if you give it to them, they'll use it. I experimented with some of my F1 Papuans, giving them those specialty enclosure design perches with the suspended water bowl in them. And these carpets had only been kept in tubs with belly heat, and it's still belly heat. But for the first month or so with those perches, they didn't use them. And then once they figured it out, they haven't left them. They like soak in their water. They're always up there. And it wasn't, you know, it took them sort of some time to figure it out. So I think if there's a way to provide it, I think we would see maybe some association with different groups of Morelia using different features at different times in different patterns. You know, one of the things that I've been thinking of, and Eric, I know you've been talking about like the whole, you know, building something your own. But at the shop, we've sort of figured out that you can get 1-inch aluminum tubing for $1 a foot, and they usually sell it in 20-foot segments. And if you've got the right chop saw that can do a good, clean, quick cut through it, they also make plastic unions for like corners or T's and different connections and things. And we built a rack for our display using that. That's 1 foot deep by 16 feet long, 16 square feet, and it's 6 feet up, and it holds tons of these acrylic cages and things. And in small lengths, this aluminum tubing is pretty sturdy. At a certain length, you'll have to brace it because it can bow a little bit, but it's got good load bearing capabilities. And so we're actually going to build out a rack essentially with this aluminum tubing, but we're spacing it out for these exoteric glass front opening cages of different sizes. So on the bottom, we've got 3 or 4 of these like mini wides or small wides or whatever that are, like this big. They're essentially almost a cube. And then as we go up levels, we're doing more like smaller arboreal ones, and then smaller arboreal ones, like, because they make, ones that are this big, they make ones that are this big, and so on. And as we're talking and planning this out, I'm sort of thinking how it could be done for, Morelia to solve that same sort of problem, because I also think about Dan Maleri's setup in his videos. And if you paid attention over the years, the left wall of his like snake room changes from time to time.
Yes.
And at one point I noticed he had just like these hinged panels that would flip up, and there were cages in there, and that's how he did it. But when the panel closes down, it looks like a glass front rack. And if you could do something like that, where you just have, your shelves, essentially, whatever you make it out of, and you measure it and make it deep enough for these sort of standard cages that are available or whatever you want to use, and set them up. And then you have your light bracket, and then you could set up basking lights and stuff, and just have a panel that closes it, still run it with, thermostat or whatever, and timers and all that. And then you can use it as modular cages that you could like change out over the years if you need a bigger one, a wider one.
Right.
But the problem is those cages are expensive as all get out. Even at wholesale, they are not cheap.
Right.
So there has to be some sort of middle ground, whether you make your own or, I don't know.
Yeah, like, so my plan is, I was back and forth, but now I have snakes that are like growing. They're like reaching adults, to where like the majority of my collection is like getting to adulthood. Right. And I was at this crossroads. It's like, do I get 2 more racks and like, do I go and get, caging? And I'm like back and forth, and I just haven't found the caging that works for what I want. So ultimately it came down to that I'm going to build my own. But now I just bought 2 vision racks just because, I have these animals that are growing up, and I they're like outgrowing what they're in. Right. So my plan is to my cold room, which I'm in now, which is the diamonds. Eventually this will be filled, with caging and stuff for all the stuff that's more cold tolerant. Basically it would be diamonds, bredli, inlands, probably Brisbane's will come in here, Brisbane coastals. And that will be the extent of this room. I've sort of toyed with the idea of like Womas and stuff. I don't know. I heard somebody mention that on the show, and I think it was Casey when we were talking. Remember that? Oh, you don't remember it because it never came to air. We did a show with Billy and Casey, and we were kind of talking about it, but the audio was so bad that I couldn't put it out.
Oh,
People
no.
had flashbacks of 2011, and be like, what the
no.
hell is this shit? But so yeah, he was saying something about, maybe keeping Womas and blackheads and more of that cold tolerant type of environment where it's kind of warm during the day and cold at night. Because one thing that I would love to see is like with my Womas is that digging,
Yes.
Oh, dude, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And like to see that would be wild. But I think then I'm going to move on to redoing my main room. And then I would like to at some point experiment with, those, like, it's sort of similar to what you're saying, Riley, where you're sort of making a rack, but with the rack, I would be using those sort of like nano,
Yeah.
You know, nano open door cave. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
And having like a UV strip across the top. You know what I mean? So like, do they benefit it? Does it going to make these prettier? Are they going to, you know, the color is going to be better? Are they going to be healthier? Will they feed quicker? Will they feed better? You know, all those kind of questions that you have. And even when you do answer them, it's not like it's going to be like, look, carpets have to have this, because it's like, yeah, it's my little sample group that works for me, but like, doesn't necessarily mean that it's accurate, you know. But
yeah, so it all seems to come down to finding your own way of making it happen, but the economical way is hard to achieve.
Yeah,
like you're really going to have to put some money up to set something up like this in any sort of elaborate way, and then to keep it going with grow outs and, you know, things like that. It's a big investment financially, and there just isn't something commercially available at an affordable price point for the common person to do that. So DIY, like, you know, you see people getting those plastic shelves and cutting the legs for the right tubs they want to just make a you know, and that's brilliant, and that's how some people have to do it, or would, you know, make 2x4 frames and all this stuff. So yeah, until something becomes available, like, those are the creative ideas that are going to pervade.
Until me and Owen open up a serpentarium, I guess we're sort of stuck in this, you know. And then that's the other part of it. It's like, you go and you invest all this stuff. It's like, man, it would be just a little bit more to sort of do this on a, you know, I don't know. Sometimes I think, like, do we make it harder in our heads than it really is? You know, and I see all these people like coming along and just sort of like opening up a reptile zoo, and, you know, and it's just like, maybe it is a little bit easy. Because to me, I would rather do that than breeding. To me, that
I vote that you do that. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. I just think, like, you know, dude, I have planograms of it and layouts. It's like you would be walking through, right? And you go into the middle, and like in the middle, it's just like, it's like open and sort of like reptile gardens, but like as you would walk, like it would be all different continents that you would walk into. And then that would be the room, right? So if you're going to go to Australia, or you're going to go South America, or you're going to go to Indonesia, or, you know, wherever it would be.
If you do that, I'll move to the East Coast. I'll clean the poop for you.
I mean, think about that from a reptile lover. Wouldn't you love to go somewhere and see? I would.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I love the idea of continent themed rooms, and
that's a very zoo style of thinking, of arranging a reptile house or something and having regional arrangement. Yeah, some zoos pull it off. It's not easy to do because, you know, the animals you have limit you, the space you have limits you. If it's all one room, you have one climate that you have to work with, and it becomes difficult for sure.
Yeah, I would imagine.
But like, that would be amazing. Imagine having like a big warehouse subdivided into like 5 different zones, and each zone accommodates, you know, a continent. And then within that zone, you could have like the warm spectrum, where things that need it warmer in the back end, and then the cooler ones up front, and you can sort of get creative with it. But it's, again, financial
investment. A lot of work in finance, you know.
So the people on YouTube that, you know, are starting these reptile zoos and things now, they're funding it because they've got such a huge like YouTube following and Patreon following, and the algorithm gets them all these views. So they've got so much ad revenue coming in and swag and things. So they're making tons of money, and it's going right back into these projects. But I guarantee you that doesn't change the stack of that build is still up there, you know.
100%.
Buying all the universal rocks for all of it, building it, like building all the framework. It's no small feat.
The Snake Discovery one that's coming together looks really nice, though. I don't know if you guys have watched any of that. Yeah. That one's coming together nicely. I think they're doing a good job with that, and that's, I think, exactly how all of us sitting here today would like love to do something like that. Have a reptile zoo fleshed out, nice, naturalistic, you know. But again, 100%. That's like it's like 2 different parts of our reptile brain. Like, one is like curious about all the breeding and having our evil lab of snakes everywhere. And then the other part is we love these animals, like we truly do. And this is how we would love to do it. I'll tell you right now, it's hard, man. Like,
trying to breed Crebos in semi-naturalistic terrariums. It's like, I can't see. Move these damn plants. Move these logs. What the hell are you doing in there? Are you eating her? And then I'm like,
you better not be eating her.
I'm 5 minutes in and I'm like, I regret putting this damn log in here that they love so much. And God damn it. And then all of a sudden it's like about me and what's, so like, yeah, I think having separate collections would allow us to scratch that itch. If you had the storefront in the reptile zoo, you totally get to, get your rocks off doing nice naturalistic stuff and then still have breeders in the back.
Room.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a mullet, man. Party.
Yeah.
In the front,
oh man. Bring back the mullet.
Yeah. And then in the Morelia Python Radio Serpentarium, you can plop Mort down with the guest list strapped to his back and he just wander. Everyone could sign the little book.
Yeah.
Camera on his head. It's perfect.
Put a donation jar like to his scoops on top.
Help
walks
this
around.
Tortoise.
I think we should put like a statue of Bigfoot on the shell. So like, it's just sort of attached there. So like, have you seen Bigfoot?
Owen will burn
like
the building
everybody
down.
could torment Owen all day long. I saw Bigfoot. Shut up.
We could have an unspoken scavenger hunt where there's just a dozen Bigfoot heads sort of like hidden around.
Yeah.
Like the door handles to the front would be like a Bigfoot
Squatch.
Yeah, Squatch model, like brass Squatch handles, and then like you walk in, the floor mat's a Bigfoot, and then there's like hidden heads in every exhibit. You got to find them.
Oh man!
You pull out all the white lips and burn it to the ground.
Yeah. I remember when we were in Australia, right? It's all serious, and I just said to him, like, I was like, "Yo, man, is there like a different kind of Sasquatch down here in Australia? What's it called? Shut up, you!" He's all pissed off. I'm like, what would you do if like all of a sudden just out of like the jungle come, here we are in the Northern Territory and now pops this like, he's like, oh, I hate you. I hate everything about you.
Owen.
I told him, I was like, dude, stop getting so hype about it and people will stop talking about it. You know? Like,
you just got to embrace it and then they'll stop. Yeah. I went on a bachelor party trip with some buddies up camping and fishing and stuff. And along this random road through Oregon was a random, like this windy forest road, like middle of the forest on a mountain. There's like this little turnoff and there's a wood log cabin thing and all this trinkets and wood carved stuff outside. And it's all Bigfoot and weed paraphernalia. So there's like huge 8-foot statues of Bigfoot, but like holding a joint. And then there's all these magnets and paraphernalia, and they're like Bigfoot getting high and all this stuff. And it's
where was this? I feel like I might have seen this before.
If you just drive up, like I think if you just take 101, you just keep going up, you'll find it. You just keep going up there. Eventually, you'll ride through it. And
I think I know the spot.
Wow.
Yeah, I took a photo and sent it. They had like a street sign. It said like Bigfoot crossing. There's big pot leaf and Bigfoot, and I was like, I don't get the association. Maybe that's all they do out here, but I was so tempted to get these things to send to Owen, but I already sent him that one magnet of Bigfoot smoking a joint.
I know. I love it. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. See, we all have our thing. Eric's the Hobbit. Owen has his Bigfoot phobia.
That's right.
I don't know what mine is yet, and we have yet to learn what Lucas's is. So there's so much more
thus far.
Yeah, there's a Star Wars thing in there for you. I don't know. We'll find something. We all have.
I'm 90% Star Wars in here.
Yeah. So
Star Wars and empty space.
Star Wars and carpets. Is that?
Yeah.
We're gonna have to come up with a good name for that one. So something that rolls off the tongue.
So I got a question. Is there a project carpet python related or Morelia that you would want, that you don't currently have, that you would want to get into? I know Justin's going to say inland.
Probably. Yeah. I mean, I've been saying inlands for years and I haven't had the ability. So it would have to either be inlands or Nova Guineas right now.
Nova Guinea.
Oh, Nova Guineas.
Yeah, I mean, that's that collector in me that I want all of them, and that's just still on my list. And my buddy Alan just down the road has some, that bastard. And and so those are some that I need for sure. Inlands are just super freaking cool, though. I've always had a thing for those and just never made it happen.
Yeah. Those were that was my answer, but I have the deposit down on the pair with Nick. He said he's not shipping now till after the holidays, especially with like apparently Black Friday during lockdown just destroyed the ability for companies to ship. It was just like inundated. So I won't be seeing my inlands probably till January or February, but
nice.
They're out there somewhere.
Better safe than sorry, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I was talking to Professor Loafman. He had like a Western hog lost somewhere in the Postal Service. He's like, I'm not sending you your false water cobra right now. I'm like, okay, sounds good.
Right.
But other than that, I would love to track down an Aru male.
Naru male. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got the chondro bug.
A little bit. I don't want to like have a large collection of them, but I think they're really cool, and I would love to one day be able to just produce like locality specific Arus. I am absolutely enamored with the female I have, and she seems to be thriving and adapting really well to my room. So be something that would be fun to give a try.
Yeah, she's beautiful, man.
Yeah, I'm holding out for the Merauke's or Marukis or whatever they're called nowadays. But I don't know. The only person I know that has them is Dave Hastane, right? I don't know. I know people have Maruki animals, but I don't know anybody that's breeding just, you know, he's trying to turn you.
Yes.
No, this is not chondros and coffee.
I'm reading Justin Bulander's book right now, his Green Tree book, and it's been a journey for sure.
Yeah. You know, well,
yeah.
I don't know if Australia will happen again until like 2024 or something. I don't know. Who knows anymore?
Yeah.
But that was probably the next trip that we were going to make, was going to be up to the Cape York to sort of see chondros in the wild.
Sounds like a really cool place to go.
Yeah.
See some scrubs as well.
Scrubs. Yeah. No doubt. Archer River carpet pythons, which I have, you know. It's like, whoa, it's really you know, Cape York carpets are right here, you know. That's another one. I shouldn't say nobody cares. I care. There's a couple people that care.
I care,
you know.
But we all care.
I think everybody listening to the show probably cares.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that is Justin's hole.
Yep, Justin's in the GTP rabbit hole.
Yeah. I love, you know, I think for me it's the green snake with the white stripe. I think what sort of takes me away from the Aru is that the stripe doesn't seem to be as uniform.
Right, it's more blotched.
Be more splotched and spotty, you know. But if I have to get a ruse, I guess I'll settle for a ruse.
I love the occasional blue, though. You know, like I know there's some that are just crazy, like completely blue, but at least for my female, just right under the eye, there's this splotch of just really beautiful blue. But the fact that that's there, I don't know, that's so pretty. Like, no more required to get me on that one.
Yeah. When we went to Southern Carpet Fest at Bill Stiegel's, right, and you know, he has some. This is before the sickness was even around. You know, was hatched, but like just going and seeing his chondros outside in natural sunlight, the colors that were on these things were just insane. It's just wild, you know, the difference that a snake has when it's out in the natural sunlight. I remember at Carpet Fest when I had white lips before I gave him the Owen. It was we took them out back, and there they were, and I was just blown away by you know, how awesome they, like, it was just so cool to see like all that iridescence, and it's just wild, man. They're really cool. But I don't know.
I caught mine doing the tail lure the other day, and that was really neat.
Oh yeah.
Another one of those really cool you know,
nice
behavior to witness.
Did you ever see your carpets do that?
You know, I haven't seen that with my carpets. I have seen it with Womas.
Okay. I've seen him make carpets.
I've seen Womas do the tail wiggling plenty of times.
Yeah.
Have you? Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one. He's really funny. He hides under these fake leaves. Like he nosed out a little ditch in the substrate and he gets in there and then sticks out the tail and does the wiggling. But
that's badass. Stick your finger in here.
The head is like right there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
That's one of the ones that doesn't want to eat me. So
yeah.
Nice.
There's a certain locality of carpets that I'm not going to say that is like very, 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 very rare.
Oh.
That would be the addition that I would make.
I know what those are.
You know what they are.
I do.
I've been trying to get them for years. And
so they are here somewhere.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
They're here. But sometimes you got to watch those things because then, we'll call that owening.
Yeah. You don't want to owen a species.
Owening a species. Yeah.
All of a sudden you talk about it enough, you can't find them because everyone else just went and bought them after you talked about them.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's a new NPR term.
That's right. Owening.
Text you out.
Yeah. We're going to start a dictionary. It's the NPR dictionary.
You've got with my Philly accent, it sounds like
you've got Burking, you've got owening, you've got wheelering. We've got 3 in there so far. 3 entries.
Right. Was a verb.
What? Mutton? Yeah.
Mutton.
Yeah. That's another one.
There you go.
So
yeah, that would be the one that I want to add. And a female roughy. Dude, roughies.
Oh yeah.
Holy shit, man.
Yep.
Roughies are just like inlands, right? That you don't appreciate them until you have them in your hand.
Yeah.
And when you have them in your hand, you're like, oh my God, this snake is so cool.
Yep.
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't looking at the one that Brett posted on Morph Market the other day.
Dude.
Do it. Do it. I remember the first time holding one at Matt Minatola's house, and I had that same feeling, Eric.
Yeah. But even when I think it's like, so I think about like when I was a kid, right? And I got like my first garter snake, and I'm just like stared at that thing for hours and hours and hours and hours, just like mesmerized, like, wow, this is so cool. Like, wow, I can't believe this, And I think I had that same sort of feeling with this, which I've gotten very cool carpets over the years and cool species of pythons and stuff. And like, I've loved them and said how cool they were and everything, but there's something about the roughies that you just can't capture in a video. You can't capture it on film. It's really similar to the inland, but when you're holding them, you're like, what the hell? Like, holy shit,
Yeah. It's a whole nother animal.
And I sort of was saying in a short little blog that I was doing was about like how I think our generation, like for me as a herper, like I kind of remember when they weren't available and they were just that dream species and you couldn't get them. And it was just like you're holding on to hope that maybe one day they'll somehow make it to the States and you'll be able to own them. And like, I don't know if younger keepers have that same appreciation for them because, they're out there now. You know what I mean? It's like you have a different appreciation for them. And I think that, people that keep them probably should like really kind of figure out a way to not hype them up, but make sure that people understand what's so special about them, Yeah. I mean, there's the story about them. There's, there's so much, and they're just such a cool snake, man. It's so cool. But
yep. Gotta love those roughies. They're there's something different for sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Lucas, have you ever seen roughies in person?
I haven't. No, I've haven't been fortunate enough to be in the room with one. But they're on camera when I was talking.
Right. They're totally different. They've got really big old head plates, these like massive plates that are like circular. They look thicker. They look different. The side profile of the head is very different. It's taller. It's not angular because they're still round, but it's bulkier. The eyes are like this blue silver, and then keeled scales and just
right.
Something totally different.
The things that Owen was saying was that the keeled scales are like most rough, I guess, at the top, and then generally like smooth as you go down the side, which
yeah,
as well.
yeah.
Yeah,
Such a
that's
cool
another
species.
Yeah.
I hope that Owen Pellies make the same progression, you know?
That would be sweet.
Because that snake, holy shit, man. That's a whole nother level. You want to talk about, I know everybody talks about Bolins and all this stuff. Take that shit and leave it at home, man. That's bullshit. Owen Bellies is like hands down, like
that's the game changer, huh?
oh my god, man. I mean, the snake changes color, like legitimately changes color.
Right.
Damn.
You know, like that. What else does it? Pop ones. That's the
But
only one I can think of.
probably not to the same degree, huh?
No.
Yeah.
Completely different.
And roughies are partially keeled, scaled as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And then they've got that big head from a distinct narrow neck, long taper, scrub size, big animal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's badass, dude.
It's wild, man. It's so cool.
Someday.
Yeah, I hope.
We're all daydreaming.
I hope I make it.
Right.
You know, man, it's like, shit, I maybe have 20 years left. You know, I don't know, 20, 30. Chop, Australia.
No pressure, Oz.
Yeah.
No pressure. Find that illegal smuggle dude who gets caught and let it find its way into the hobby like MIAs.
Well, what's really cool about them, and like hopefully at some point we're gonna get Gavin on the show to sort of nail down talking to him about it, but like he's really done like an amazing job with getting this species established in the hobby. First of all, when you have to take helicopters and all this shit to even get to anywhere near that species is like, you know, I mean, he's going to places where people haven't even, you know, like you can't find footprints, or like being in Northern Territory is like, you're sort of like, okay, there's not a lot of people around, but you still see people. But where he's talking about, you don't see people. There's nobody there, you know? And it's like one of those things that you know, he sort of worked with the Aboriginal tribes and stuff to sort of like you know, get permission and all that stuff. And like what's really cool, he was telling us that when the animal is retired, they go back to the wild.
That's awesome.
His breeders, you know, because it's like they mean that much to the Aboriginal people. Like they're like kind of a big deal, you know. And it's just that is might as well be on the moon. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. 100%.
It's that remote.
Yes.
It's hard to locate places like that. You know, there's less and less of them all the time.
Yep.
Well, we sort of have an NPR trip in the works that may take us to some sort of place like that. So
we'll try and get something going.
Fingers
crossed. Yeah. So for everybody watching and listening to this, definitely give us those views and those hours of watching. Just put it on and play and walk away, because the sooner we can monetize this, the sooner we can go over there and y'all can live vicariously through us.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Bringing
That's
the video
hope.
up.
That?
I said it will definitely be bringing the video game up if that does end up happening too.
Oh yeah.
Filming out there.
Yeah. Putting like, I don't know. I'd geek out about that all day long. If people, I mean, if you could go and show me, you know, those snakes in the wild and the environment, what it's like, I could watch that all day long, man.
Absolutely.
Who knows? Maybe we'll be fortunate enough to, you know, over the next decade or two, especially once COVID opens things up, go travel to all the places where all these different carpets and our favorite Aussie snakes, you know, live in, and make, you know, little documented videos like, this is where they live, this is where we're finding them, this is how they experience this time of year, this is what we're seeing at this moment in this location.
Yeah.
Food for thought.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've been working on like I've been there a million times, but like every time I come back, I write another chapter in the book I want to do, where it's like you know, similar to In Green Tree, what is that book called? in green tree country.
In green python country or something.
Yeah, yeah, similar to that, but do it carpet wise. So
Yeah.
like the idea would be that, you know, all these weird places where we've talked about, you know, like where they intercross and like does this species here or is this, you know what I mean? Like, you know, jungles here, coastals here, what's the difference, you know, that kind of stuff. And like documenting that. And like, people talk about like, you know, the intergrade zone for diamonds and coastals is like around Coffs Harbor and stuff like that. So like going there and actually finding those carpets and seeing like what do they look like, and you know, not just one, you know, you can look them up on the internet now and you see like one random picture, and like some of these islands off of the coast of Australia that sort of, you know, you have some that where you have Imbricata, you have Darwin's up at the top that are off the coast there, you got coastals off the side, you know, just like, I don't know, it would be cool to like go to an island and just find like carpets, you know, like wow,
that would be badass.
And then the ultimate trip would be going to Papua New Guinea to see IJs, but
yeah,
I don't know, here you might want to get killed, you might get killed if you
a little more dicey,
you know.
Well, we'll keep funding Ari, and maybe he'll pacify multiple tribes over there to the white people that want to come visit.
We'll sneak in with Ari.
Yeah, exactly. We'll just, I don't know, we'll figure something out. But that would be freaking amazing, dude. That would be so cool. Yeah. I think that kind of information would just be beyond invaluable in the same way as, you know, the complete carpet python and all these other Australian snake books and reptile books that are out there, but it would just be a different visual component and just kind of bridge another gap in the connection for those of us that don't live over there.
Right. Absolutely. And it's similar to like what you see with like, I love Dave Kaufman's video, Are We Keeping Them Right? You know, like I love that series of videos that he does where he goes and like really like, you know, because then you sort of look and you're like, like, you know, I think he did one on Bearded Dragons where they were talking about like, you know how like, I think there's a heated debate on like whether you can keep them on sand or not. Like,
correct.
Yeah. Is that true?
Oh, yes.
You know?
Oh, yes.
And like, he's over there is like, that's all I see is sand. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, we get that all the time in the shop. A lot of folks that are, you know, just getting into their pet beardies for their kids and their family. And then they're doing research and finding a lot of, you know, differing opinions. So, yeah. And like Zilla's Beyond the Glass is a great example of a video excursion to focus on species and where they're at and, you know, the different parameters they're enduring out there. I think doing something like that would just, I think it'd be hella fun to go do it. That's for sure.
Hell yeah, man.
Oh my God. Imagine like, how was work for you this week? I'm sorry. I missed all your emails. I was overseas, you know, researching snakes.
Yeah, man.
We were camping in the middle of the jungles and fishing and watching out for crocs and staying up on croc watch shifts in the middle of the night and finding snakes and that's what we did all month.
I was hoping that the trip we were supposed to go on that we would sort of get like that little taste of like being in isolated, like because in Western Australia it seems like you got more of that possibility of being like really isolated, like away from a lot of people and stuff, and just sort of camping one night in Australia and just like, looking at, you know, damn, that would be cool, man. I like the Airbnb, but like it would be cool to sort of just like chill out and
have the real experience at least once.
Just once, you know?
At least, yeah. That COVID was a real kick in the nuts for that one. That was going to be my first Aussie trip. I have so much gear just sitting on the side of my bed.
You and me both.
Dude, I bought like that legit headlamp, some camera gear, some small LED lights, you know, the outlet conversion kits, all this stuff, a dope Camelback for all the gear, and it's all ready to go. It's got like the Pro T-Mex, like heat and humidity and UV reading stuff on it. And my buddy loaned me a UV index meter and all this stuff. And it was like, we're going to go. And literally 3 days before, I was like, no, because if you go, you're quarantined for 14 days and you're going to miss your flight back.
I just wish that we would have made it there. And then they told us we were quarantined for 14 days.
I know. I was ready to go. I was ready to go. I was ready to be like, it's out of my hands.
Yeah.
I'm going to be here for 2 weeks. And since I'm already here, I'm going to just hang out for a little while and, go hiking.
Yeah. Hey, boss. Sorry.
Honey, yeah. I'm not going to be making it into work today. I'm stuck in Australia.
Right.
Can you tell Rachel to just keep a close eye on the snakes for me? Thanks. Bye.
We might not have a connection where I'm going.
Yeah. I'll be fine. Don't worry about me. I'll send photos eventually.
Right.
Oh, dude.
So
yeah.
close.
So close yet so far.
That is brutal. But if you just keep it packed long enough, eventually you'll are ready to go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I look at all that gear every day. I see it all and it's there.
Yeah.
Now, now it's just trying to survive this nonsense and get the world back to a point where we can go,
Yeah, I was watching some video the other day. Somebody sent it to me, and it was basically saying about how, if you're going to Australia and you're coming from overseas, that you sort of have to do like they take you from the airport to this hotel, and you have to stay in this hotel, and you can't leave the hotel for 2 weeks, and they bring you your food, and it's $3,000 Australian, so it's like, I don't know, 2,000 something American. Just to quarantine for those 2 weeks. And that pays for the hotel and the food and stuff like that. But like, you just tacked on another $2,000 to the trip. It's basically double the trip, And
oh man.
And you'd have to be there for a month.
Oh my God. And then you'd have to quarantine when you come back home eventually too.
Yeah. So
fucking COVID.
No, right? You bastard.
Well, for now, I'll just enjoy my little mini slices of Australia in the room.
Right.
So,
yeah, that's what I've been trying to lean into. Keep myself sane.
Yeah. Lucas, you said you've already got the deposit down on the inlands as your next species. So what's the next one?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, that's a good question. It's hard. You guys could probably relate that it changes maybe every day. Yeah. What you're looking at, but definitely Trimarchon stuff. In diamonds, I would love diamonds. What else? I kind of have like a thing with the Sanzinia where I have a lot of regret because there was one sitting in front of me at the vivarium for 5 or 6 months at an affordable price, and I didn't buy it. So
you blew it.
A big mistake with that. So I feel like eventually I have to atone for my sins. Yeah. Liasis, I want Queensland water pythons.
Ooh.
Yes.
Nice.
Definitely those are on the list. But it's hard. I'm very much in the place where I want a little of everything. I definitely what's it the
Noah's Ark syndrome.
Yeah. Big time. And yeah, I'm just what I really need to do is get more cages first. And then we'll go from there. But
yeah.
Well, you just moved, so now you have a bit more space available. So you have the flexibility to sort of scratch those itches that you're feeling, right?
I have like half of my room right now is snakes, and the other half is kind of my music setup. Okay. But I've been thinking about it more. I don't need a music setup. I'll just put all that in the closet. Snakes, like
that's valuable real estate, man.
It is. They could probably fit 2 stacks of 6-foot cages over there.
He's thinking in reptile brain, people.
Yeah. I started telling my wife that like I was like, I'm looking upstairs and I'm like, I could probably put a really nice cage here. Like do it real nice and put something cool in there, and she's like, now they're taking over another room. I'm like, I think so. I think it's pretty much going to be every room soon,
Yeah, that's when you're like, do you know who we're talking about here?
Yeah, right. Like, hello.
Are you surprised?
You picked me, remember?
Yeah, you signed up for this.
Wasn't like it was hidden from you. I disclosed
right.
Well,
Right. Yeah, that'd be fun to do. Take like an old curio cabinet, gut it, and varnish the inside, get it all waterproof, decked out, heat panels, lights, and have a nice display in the living room or something.
Yeah.
Oh, dang. Corey's in 4
4
rooms.
Yes.
Woo! That's
The
the dream
takeover
right
has
there.
begun.
Yeah. Next thing you need is a building.
That
Yeah.
building that Jason Hood's putting together. That looks,
Oh, yeah. I did see that.
yeah.
It's a big, like, insulated hangar size
Yeah,
thing.
it looks like a hangar. Exactly. You could probably fit your private jet in there too if you had one. Like,
Yeah, he said he could fit 2 parked cars in there.
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah. That's a room for sure.
yeah. It's a whole facility. Deserves the
Yeah.
F word.
Yeah, the F word. Yeah. Once you have floor drains or concrete floors, a utility sink, and like,
You're legit.
yeah, that's game on.
It made me chuckle too. I was looking at that, and everyone in the comments was like, "Oh my god, how could you put a car in there? You're gonna kill all the snakes with carbon monoxide." And he's
Oh
like,
my god,
"He's
people!
running in the snake room, genius," you know. But everybody's always looking for something to critique, even in something as beautiful as that.
Yeah, yeah.
Classic
Yeah.
Facebook for you.
Oh, of course. Nah.
I got a question.
Okay.
No.
Possible inland morph that was from reptiles down under, down in Australia, which was the melanistic inland.
Oh, right.
What's your thoughts on that?
I'll take 4.
4, right?
2.2, please.
Yeah. Holy
My
shit,
thought,
man.
that's awesome, and I'm all for like more options and for paint jobs and whatnot. But I feel like I'm trying to adopt a rule for myself going forward that I will always work with the natural type first,
Right.
and make sure that I actually love the species
Okay.
before getting into paint jobs.
Gotcha.
You know,
That
do
makes
you
sense.
love that snake, or do you love the paint job in the picture?
Right.
Because the personality, the snake is not going to change. You know,
Right.
if you love a Brettles python, you're going to love a normal, you're going to love a stonewash. The personality, the habits, the behaviors, hit the mic, the ecology, that's not going to change.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think it's similar to the argument that I used to have when people would say that a super granite zebra or super zebra granite, right, looked like a Macklot's python. So why wouldn't you just get a Macklot's python? It's like, but I don't like Macklot's pythons. I like carpet pythons, but I just like the look of that, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know.
And Macklot's pythons are assholes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They're monsters.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think I share that sentiment, Lucas. That's why I waited so long to even get into Brettle morphs. I've just had my normal, wild types for the last 4.5 years or whatever. So,
right. Yeah.
I definitely appreciate when somebody gets into the wild type base, standard animal, learns to appreciate that, works with that, and then dips into morphs as opposed to just jumping straight into morphs. But
right.
If that's what gets people into a species and then they find out that they love that group of animals, I don't see any harm in that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm only talking about for myself.
Right. No. And I think that's a great,
yeah,
I think that's a great approach personally. I mean, it makes sure there's some ethical considerations, going into the decision in the first place. That being said, a melanistic carpet's going to be badass. So again, I'll take 4.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's an inland.
Yeah. Yeah. So did they say it was recessive or was that just spontaneous?
No, I think it kind of got hushed pretty quick.
Oh,
you know how that stuff goes.
Oh, shoot. All right. It sounds like it's ending up in the German-Ukrainian vacuum wind tunnel as we speak.
Yeah, it was kind of like one of those weird things. I tell you what, if I could have a morph from Australia, it would be those hypo Darwins from Troy.
Yes.
Holy shit.
Oh, the super hypo Darwins glow. Or in the egg, they're screaming orange.
Dude.
Yeah.
They're another one. They don't get no love, man. I don't know what it is. I just like, wow, I don't know. I get it. I guess, it's not yellow and black or, those bright colors or whatever it would be. But
I don't know. Anybody who hasn't found the appreciation for Darwins needs to just go look on Nick's website at the variety he has of just those the striped animals, just the screaming rich blacks and good contrast on them. They're just nuts. They're absolutely insane. And then Todd's got those reduced pattern Darwins that most people have forgotten about. And they're like a chestnut, reddish brown, just velvety, sexy color, and just that reduced. You want to talk about like a Merauke pinstripe?
Yes,
right there on a Darwin, and those things are sexy as all hell. So, yeah, there's that hypo Darwin right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, look, it's just the calendar. All right.
That you want your calendar folded in half? Here you go. But hey,
is it really jacked up? Is it jacked up? I can send you another one.
I folded it the other way, and now all is well.
Now it's even. Oh, okay, all right. You can't have the
fucking delivery guys,
right?
I can't have you having a shitty NPR calendar. Like, come on, man.
Dude, some delivery guy literally put like a book or something that my girlfriend ordered right on her, like a potted plant right next to her while she was standing there watching from behind the screen door. She's like, "Hey, delivery!" She's like, "Ah, God damn it!" Just fucking give me a break. But yeah, those going back full circle, talking about animals that people have overlooked because they're not trendy or whatever. Sometimes it takes a morph. Sometimes it needs something dramatic, but yeah, I think those overlooked species definitely need some love. And getting on your point, Eric, something that we don't have here that I would love, axanthic jungles.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a black and white adult scream. Think of the intensity of the gnarliest black and yellow highlighter animal, screaming crisp, and then get all the yellow and replace it with like a screaming bright white. It like Nick's ivory jungles have that same level, but it's just different, and it's just unbelievable because a lot of them have a lot of stripe influence in there, and just I want them.
Yeah, man. Yeah, there's so much cool shit down in Australia, man. I one of the trips that we're eventually going to take is going to be going and checking out people's collections. I can just imagine the shit that's going to, like the normalest carpet python. I'm going to be like, oh my God, freaking out,
Yeah, because everything's going to be
hey,
different.
mate, it's just a crap it. What
it's
do you
just
mean?
A crap it. Yeah.
Oh, but holy hell, Oh, Brendan just brought up the Joe Ball's albino breadline. Like
breadline.
Yeah, Lucas, did you see those?
Maybe.
So I think Dave Kaufman showed him off in a video. Joe's shown him off in a couple videos of his. Somebody else, I think when Cusco and Dave were over there, they saw them, so there might have been flashes of it. Somebody else really showed him off nicely with Joe, but they're obviously
Darwin hybrids, right?
Yeah, but he's produced just amazing orange screaming phenotype, taken them back and done it again, and it's just stupid bright orange.
I've definitely seen pictures of some of that combination, but maybe not the specific ones being mentioned here. But
they're just nuts. Absolutely nuts.
Really beautiful. There's no doubt.
Yeah, it's a blasphemous hybrid though. So
I'll hold my tongue.
Just don't tell Nick you're making it, and you'll be all right.
I'm not making it.
That's so funny. I'm gonna throw Tony Dorer under the bus here. My buddy Tony, he's a great friend, and he bought a beautiful super caramel off of Nick. Talked him out of like this amazing holdback quality female super caramel.
Oh no, I know where this is going.
Bred a fucking granite to it. Or like a granite jag or something. I think Nick threw up in his mouth a little bit.
He crushed his monster like
crush. Yeah. I was like, oh, Tony, you're so in the doghouse. You just got him to send you that animal and you crossed it. You're a bastard.
Yeah. And if you do that kind of thing, you keep it hush hush until time has gone by,
Well, and that's why you have good friends like Riley to throw you under the bus to make sure you get some good attention. So there you go, Tony. Right. Just making sure nobody forgot about Tony. No, the animals are beautiful. That he's really going to be trying to see what like caramel can do with the palette, the color palette of Papuans, and nothing wrong with making crosses. They're all in your own house. Do what you want. Your snakes, your rules. So if he's got a vision and he's trying to make beautiful animals, and more power to him, you know? So
yeah, that's a cool project for sure, man. I think there's a ton of potential there. Like if that's the road that you're going to go down, you know, I mean, putting that caramel into something that's already got those colors of, you know, chestnut and red and brown, and it just seems like a no-brainer to me. But
yeah,
you know,
certainly.
Hanging up my purist shoes right now, and just speaking from a creative standpoint, you know, throwing some hypo in there would be nuts.
Ding dong.
DoorDash.
Somebody heard you. You were about to propose a hybrid.
I'm not answering
How
that.
dare you?
Yeah. But yeah, like playing with the color palette on those and doing something and selectively breeding and taking a vision, like if that's your thing, like that's badass. And that's the cool thing about carpets, because you really you have potential to do so much.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, then you not only have selective breeding within the subspecies, you have the selective breeding that you can do with the morph, with the different subspecies, if you will. You know, I mean, like even albino inlands were beautiful.
Yeah.
Really, really sharp as well.
Didn't they make albino silver peppered?
Yeah.
Recently.
Yeah.
Oh
I can't wait to see what that looks like as an adult. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
You know? There's a lot of cool shit that happens down in Australia. And I don't know, those guys seem to look at it differently. Like, I don't know if it's like a different generation, but I remember when I was getting into it, if you even brought up the word jag and to Australians, they would punch you straight in the throat, you know? Like,
oh man, that's too funny.
Yeah, they didn't really dig that too much, but
now they're all over crossing stuff.
Yeah. I guess it's, you know, I don't know. I don't know if Antaresia takes the niche of like corn snakes here in the state. You know what I mean? Like, or if it's the carpets that sort of take that thing. But I'm not too familiar with the corn snake world. But don't they sort of like cross the, you know, the stuff around?
Yeah. There's a couple mutations that apparently have history of like rat snake in them and a few other things like that. And people just, they don't mind. They just kind of throw whatever together and make some cool stuff. And there's whole markets for hybrids and weird things like that. So yeah,
they keep changing the taxonomy of carpets, so it keeps like pushing the lines all around, you know. And it's similar to what happened with chondros, right? You know, you had like chondros where they were always believed to maybe be two species, and then all of a sudden now it's like species and subspecies, and like,
it's going to change further.
You know, I think that the same thing would probably happen with scrubs at some point. You know, people bringing in all these scrubs and like they're just going by locality. I haven't seen like a lot of people. The only guy that I really know that kind of mixed up localities was Dave Prada. But you can't really blame them for that, because at the time that they were doing it, like, what were you going to breed it to? You know? You sort of got one that looks like this and one that looks like this, and they kind of look similar, and you breed it together.
And that's the basis for the entire designer chondro market, is because you don't always have two Lurays available at know the same age, that are opposite gender, that are healthy enough. You know what I mean? Like, so without that information and access, you do what you got to do. Right.
Yeah. So I think it's sort of shaped the way they look at like it's not a morph type of thing, you know, because like they're just breeding these two green snakes together, and then all of a sudden out pops this craziness. And it's sort of like, you know, with the information they had at the time, it's like, wow, like I guess these are magic, you know, like, you know, like they just popped out this blue snake. It's like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
You know?
Right. Yeah. And it seems like green trees really should. Like I've heard, didn't Daniel Natusch's paper show like 11% divergence?
Yes. Sure.
That's massive.
Yeah. His paper shows that there's a lot more room for more species and subspecies to be resurrected for further division of that entire group of green pythons. And then you've obviously heard Nick talk about how chondro python should be resurrected, because they're not even that similar to carpets. And it, you know, I think eventually with people that have influence in that scientific community speaking up on that and pushing for further research. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'd agree. Yeah.
Which I think then would kind of affect the chondro market in a way that like now people would sort of, so there's always going to be people that sort of want that, for quote unquote pure animal, right? And like I know that the importation of chondros as of late, I'm assuming it has to do with COVID, but I know that they've been hit with some hard hits over the last years. Rico passed, and then what's his name passed over in Indo, and
Casper.
Yeah, and it's sort of like you lose you lose that part of a huge part of the market, and like for people to, and then Nido kind of came along and even kind of hit it even more. But yeah, I don't know. I think they would be worth more. Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I don't know. I would think that they would.
Yeah, I think once they hammer out all the final details of the genetics and stuff, I would imagine pure stuff would be worth more.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, who knows? Maybe that'll happen in our lifetimes. Maybe, global access to research and getting out there will improve. So.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, we've been drinking coffee and talking carpets for 2 hours. Did you guys notice?
No, I have not. Yeah. Oh yeah, wow, 2 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours, man. It's
wow.
It's no longer coffee and breakfast time. It's lunchtime for me.
It's dinner time for me, man.
Just ordered a sandwich.
Yeah.
My goodness, I'm hungry.
So let's call this we'll wrap up the first inaugural rebranding of Carpets and Coffee under the NPR network, and we'll try and find a good schedule to reconvene. Thank you for everybody who's been joining in and chiming in and chipping in and tuning in and all the other ins and outs. And
yeah, man.
Yeah, I don't know what sort of interval we'll do this. We'll try and come up with a reliably consistent schedule so we can be there for everybody who enjoy this and see how it goes, and we'll just try and keep this train rolling.
Yeah, man.
Sounds great. It's been a blast.
Love it.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Lucas and Eric. Next time we'll try and wrangle Owen if possible. But the nice thing is, with 4 of us, actually 5 if you include Rob, it can be a different panel every time, and
yeah, man,
just make it happen. Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. Well, we're going to let everyone get back to their Mondays, and we're going to do the same. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll catch you all later. Love, peace, and chicken grease.
See you.